Hey, long time no see. Sorry guys, I've been just kind of busy and I haven't really known what to kind of put out content wise, but next week I should be back to kind of more regular schedule. Anyhow, I have this funky list that I put together with Garp, and like I jumped into the sim, and this was just literally the first game I jumped into with the deck that I built, and it ended up being a really good game, so I figured I'd chop it up, throw some commentary over it, and let you guys just kind of see how things went. So obviously Garp is red and black. We are playing against Ace here. Let's what's going on with my, okay, there we go. So I chose to go second just because it would give me more Dawn advantage, I felt, at least. And we start off with the Sakazuki, a Suru, a Red Hawk, a Fire Fist, a Zoro, and a 5-drop Marco. So the deck is predominantly red, if I remember correctly. We'll go over the deck list at the end of the video. So we go ahead and take the first life. We do get a 5-drop Marco, and then we draw into an Otama. So we're just kind of building up counters. And on 4, I kind of figured we're already a life down. Let's be a little bit aggressive. So we're going to go ahead and I believe we're going to just, yeah, we'll just swing with the Garp for 5. Go ahead and get that first life. Anybody's usually going to take it. And the effect of Garp doesn't really matter here. But we will swing 6 with Zoro and either get a card out of hand, which is what does happen. Just so we can go ahead and start whittling away their resources in their hand with Ace and being able to use events for counters. I just felt with this deck in particular, I needed to be super aggressive and not worry so much about defense, because with the way I built the deck, I should be able to build up plenty of defense in my hands with counters and stuff. So with being on 4, my thought process here was there's no point in really protecting the Zoro, just because it served its purpose. We'll let it go. We were able to be aggressive and get that first life out of the way, and then from there we'll let them do what they do. They do drop down the 3-cost 3k body Luffy, which usually people use as a 2k counter. But it does have the, I believe it's Dawn times 1 or times 2, and then it like gets plus 1,000 or 2,000. It's a good card. So we're gonna swing 6, reduce Robin, and then we play the Marco and get rid of that Luffy. So it doesn't matter what the effect was, because I knew it was just gonna get bounced. That is one thing about this deck that was a little bit weird, is there's a lot of cards like Fire Fist where it's like the power, but we're doing a lot of cost reduction. They do Jet Pistol the Marco, and I just kind of feel like, you know, the Red Hawk's just not going to really help us too much. So we'll throw in the Marco. There are a lot of events in this deck as well, to facilitate for things like Marco and just to have on hand. I did spend a little bit of time crafting it, so they're going to go in on this Marco again, which is fine with me because that keeps them off of my leader. And yeah, we're just gonna throw the Fire Fist because they're not really playing too much to the board. So if I can't utilize the value off Fire Fist to get rid of 2 characters, then I might as well use it to bring back a Marco instead of paying 5 costs again for a Marco. So we'll go ahead and right here I had a little bit of a conundrum, because I didn't know if I wanted to play the Sakazuki and use 6 Dawn, or if I wanted to use Kobe, because Kobe would facilitate the same thing, and I could toss the Sakazuki because it's dead in my hand if I don't use it onto the field. So I believe the play line I ended up going with here is I'm going to Kobe, toss the Sakazuki to get rid of the Robin. So we're still controlling the board here, and then that gives me 1 to put on Garp. I can swing 6 twice and kind of pressure life a little bit, or get cards out of hand. They do take the life there. We're going to swing 6 again, and they do get the trigger. I didn't realize until, like, I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't realize they got the trigger off guard point, because you never see trigger off guard point. But we do play down the blocker. Just, you know, we can fend off that one swing they for sure have, unless they're playing something with rush which it's red, so there's always the possibility of there being, you know, Rush Luffy, Rush Zoro. This is Whitebeard pirate type leader, so it could have a Jozu. But they do they reduce the cost of Marco. They Fire Fist the Marco away. I don't have an event, so I can't utilize the revival effect. It is what it is. Everything's facilitated what we needed, and we're still at good board tempo, I felt. So I'm not worried at this point. We are 1 up on life. They swing. We get the Soap Sheet. Now, it's the only CP9 card I run strictly because it has cost reduction on 2 characters, or you hit the trigger and your opponent is just forced to discard 1. And that comes in so clutch. A 2k counter out of hand for free. Didn't even have to swing. Like, let's go. So, anyways, they play down the brook, and I really don't want to deal with it. So, at this point, it's kind of like, you know, what do we do here? And luckily, after I do this deliberating, is that the word? Debating, whatever. I remember my leader's ability. I'll remember it here in a second, I promise. To reduce the brook down to 3 so I can utilize Kobe to get rid of the brook. Yes, I'll have to toss a 2k counter, but if I'm controlling their board to where they don't have anything to swing with, I don't have to worry about the 2k counters. You feel me? And they only have 1 card in hand, 2 in life. Like, we are in a great position right now. So, go ahead, throw 2 Dawn onto Garp so I can swing 7. That way, even if they have a 2k counter, it doesn't get them out of the situation. Now, I'm waiting to see if they're going to pop off a trigger. And even if they have a trigger, it's really not going to do anything because Borsellino can't be destroyed by card effects. And then we'll go ahead and deploy the Marco, get rid of the Otama just to get a body on board. We're going to go ahead and toss the Suru because the Suru, even though it has cost reduction, the Otama is more valuable with the actual power reduction for certain removal cards. At least that's the way I felt. So that's why I discarded the Suru versus the Otama, because they're both 2k counters. They do Flame Emperor my Marco here, and I don't have anything to bring it back with. And it was kind of a rough, you know, moment. But yeah, we have the blocker. Just block it, get around the double attack. And now we have 2k counters in hand again because we drew into the 2-drop Garp. And honestly, at this point, just double checking what, you know, everybody has. He's got 2 cards in hand, which means, you know, 2k counters at the most. So you swing 9 or you swing 10 and they can't get out of it. But I did not notice until I was swinging that there was a Dawn up. So I was a little bit hesitant on, you know, if they had Guard Point or the one of Rad Beam. But they do end up hitting Flame Emperor off trigger and getting rid of the Kobe. With 2k counters, all they have is 3 cards in hand after they draw. I mean, they can swing real big with the ace, but we have 2 life and then they have to swing again. So they need 3 swings to go in for game. And so at this point, it's really just survive the turn, swing huge, take the dub. And yeah, they go ahead and concede, and that was the game. I thought it was really cool being able to go in with this Garp list. Shout out Nighthawk Gaming Loft. He is the Garp Giga Chad, and I'm always watching his videos, and it makes me want to play Garp. I've always thought Garp was a very interesting leader and interesting, like, you know, dual color choice there. So give me 2 seconds. We'll flip around and we'll actually go over the deck list real quick. Okay, so here's the deck list. Here's the rundown. It's very funky, very weird. Ratios are all over the place. So obviously we have our leader Garp. Great leader, I think. I think he's very slept on. I think there's a ton of utilization, and moving into 04, I think we'll see even more Garp. But I still think with 03 and the black support we got in 03, Garp has a lot of potential. Obviously, I didn't use too much of the CP9 stuff in this build, but I do plan on working on future builds with it. So anyways, Staple Otama, 2k counter, on play, 1 character gets minus 2 2K, you know, it's pretty staple in red decks. 2 Rush Zoro, I didn't want to see it too much, but I did want to see it sometimes. But originally this deck was going to do a lot of searching, so that was kind of why I just did 2. But obviously that's not the direction the deck went. It's okay. It still worked out. Obviously 5 cost Marco, 4 of. It's a great card. It's a powerful card. It's kind of like Borsellino. If you're playing the color it goes with, you're probably just going to play it regardless of the rest of the deck. We do have 2 5 cost Rush Luffy. I thought this would be cool since I'm not running 2 or 4 of the Rush Zoro, to go ahead and have another Rush character in there just for, you know, later game when your opponent's not expecting it. Drop down the Rush Luffy and swing real big. We do have the starter deck Zoro as well, with Garp's ability having to do with attaching Dawn, and the starter deck Zoro's ability being Dawn 1. This character gains plus 1,000 power. Not only are you triggering your leader's ability to reduce cost, but you're putting this character at 6k to swing. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously we didn't get to see it in this game, but there will be more testing in the future. Kuzan, just for the card draw. I mean, it's a great character, but I don't like to run too many of him. With all of the playtime I've had with Smoker and the Navy deck, the 3 Admirals, as strong as they are, sometimes they're kind of bricky because the only one that has counter is Borsellino. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to keep Borsellino in hand for counter. You're going to be playing him to the board. So Kuzan at 2 of, because you want to play it to the board as soon as possible, get the draw off. If you can get the other ability off of swing, neg 4 on an opponent's character, it's great. If not, it's whatever. You just want to get that card draw off them and see more resources. 3-drop Kobe I prefer over 1-drop Kobe, just because the cost can be higher. 1-drop Kobe, it has to be, I don't remember if it's 1 or if it's 0, but I know the cost has to be pretty low. 3-drop Kobe with a 4k body, I think it works. It's a 1k counter as well, so it's never dead in hand. This is just my preferred Kobe. You can play whichever one you prefer. Obviously we play big Magma Boy Sakazuki Akainu. I really don't like seeing Akainu too much, just because he does cost so much to drop to the board. He is worth getting on the board if you can get him on the board, like if you can allow that much Dawn resources to him. But yeah, if anything, he's fodder to discard, but he does take care of bigger problem characters, especially with the cost reduction of Garp. But yeah, even in Smoker, I'm not running more than 2 of Sakazuki, just because I've had too many times where I bricked with him and he just doesn't help me. But when he does help, and he do be hitting a little different. 4 of the Suru, just for 2k counter. That's really it. You don't really play it to the board too often, but you can. It's a possibility. Probably not, but you can. Obviously, one of the best blockers in the game, if not the best blocker in the game, Borsellino, 4 of. It's like I said earlier, it's like Marco. If you're playing black, you're playing Borsellino. If you're playing red, you're probably playing 5-drop Marco. We play 2 of the 2-drop Garp. It is a 2k counter, so if you don't play it to the board because you don't see it early, because we're only playing 2, well, at least you got a 2k counter in hand. If not, and you see it early and you get it to the board, well, this leader, this Garp, they're great in conjunction. You want to have 2 Dawn on him anyway, so you're reducing something by 2 to begin with. You're swinging with 5 minimum. You're not really going wrong with it. We play 1 of the Isho just because if you do see it late game, it's great, especially if you're playing something like Whitebeard or Zoro and they want to build up their hand real big. You drop this Isho down, you just go ahead and trash 2 out of their hand randomly, and then you can reduce cost, and that also plays in with Garp, obviously. Tashigi, 4 of 2k counter. A lot of 2k counters in this deck, but that's just how we roll, baby. Yeah, I mean, you can play it and you can rest it every turn to give one of your opponent's characters neg 2. So, I mean, it's not bad, but it is what it is. We're gonna move into the events here. This is where I will probably be doing a lot of kind of reconfiguring, but I kind of wanted to see how all the events worked, you know, with the deck, with some testing. Obviously, I just played the 1 game, so I don't have enough testing to kind of, you know, flesh out the ratios here. But I thought Red Hawk was cool. I know I've seen it a little bit here and there, but I've never actually played with it. So it's a counter. Character gains +4. Our leader, our character gains +4k, and then KO one of your opponent's characters with 4k or less. And then the trigger is give one of your opponent's leaders or characters negative 10,000 power. So basically it's just the same trigger as Fire Eat All. It's a round table off trigger, so there's no need to play round table because it only has one effect and no trigger. But not only do we play the Red Hawk, I'm going to skip over the other event real quick. We do play 2 Fire Eat All. Your leader gains 4k power, and then if you hit it off trigger, again, negative 10k power to opponent's character. So, you know, why not? it has come in clutch. I won an ace game because of Fire Eat All. Like, I was playing ace and forgot Fire Eat All had a trigger, and if I wouldn't have hit that trigger, I would have lost the game. We do play 2 of the Fire Fist just because it is not a cost removal event, it's a power removal event, and we don't have too many cards that reduce power of characters. So while Fire Fist is kind of a staple, or starting to become a staple in red decks, I didn't want to see it too often, and you have to trash an event in order to for costs. So that's part of the reason I have a ton of events in here as well, just so I always have something to throw off of for Fire Fist. But yeah, I didn't get to use it too much, but I know there's other decks outside of Ace that Fire Fist would be very clutch for. We do play 2 of the guard point just to go ahead and, on top of all the 2k counters, go ahead and have a 3k counter as well. Obviously we saw the trigger come in handy during the game for the Ace player, but yeah, you're probably never going to see me trigger this thing. We do play 2 of the Meteor Volcano. It didn't come up in this game, but I figured with cost reduction, you know, the main or during your turn, KO one of your opponent's characters with cost of 1 or less. If you can reduce something, you know, go to swing real big and reduce something by a lot, drop this before you swing, and then swing real big. Yeah, I mean, you're in business. And the trigger is draw 2 cards, trash 1 from your hand. It's not bad. The Soap Sheep has become one of my favorite events, no matter what. If I'm playing Smoker, if I'm playing Lucci, if I'm playing Garp. If it's a black deck, I probably have at least 2 Soap Sheeps in there. It does give 2 of your opponent's characters -2, so you're not just hitting 1 character, you're hitting 2 for cost reduction. With Garp, you're hitting them with more reduction. Bada bing, bada boom. And then obviously you saw the trigger where your opponent just has to discard 1. So it's really good. I really enjoy this card. And then we have 2 of the Shockwave. This card is really good. It kind of falls out of favor for me though here and there. Sometimes I don't even run it. But obviously most people should know what it does at this point, but it is a counter. 1 leader or character gets 4k power during the battle, and then KO one of your opponent's active, very important to remember, active characters with a cost of 3 or less. But the trigger goes crazy because it's KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4, whether they're active or not. So yeah, that is just a roundabout way of showing you the deck. I know a lot of people sometimes ask for the deck list, but I figured I'd put it after the game. But anyways, yeah, again guys, I do apologize for the lack of content this past week. I've just mentally been kind of checked out. Haven't really known what to play. Just trying to work a few things out and figure a few things out. I want to bring better content to the channel. I don't want to just churn out the same thing all the time. But with that being said, I really do appreciate you if you made it to this point in the video and you watched the full game and the deck profile breakdown. Usually people do it the reverse order, but I like to sprinkle my own little funky sauce on top of things sometimes. And anyways, if you like the video, subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 before my birthday on August 22nd. So we've got less than a month to get about 30 subs, 29, 30 subs, something like that at the time of recording. So I appreciate everyone that has subscribed and supported the channel so far. I would love to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, but we'll just see where that goes. But right now, the realistic goal is 200 by August 22nd. And once we hit that 200 mark, I will be running some sort of giveaway. Don't know what I'm giving away yet, but we'll see. Anyways, have fun out there on the seas, pirates, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.